Do you ever wish you were stronger emotionally? Well, in today's video, I'm going to teach you exactly what it takes to become more emotionally strong so you can live a happier, healthier, more peaceful, and more productive life. Let's get started. Hey friends, Tamie M. Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And if you're back, of course, welcome back. Thanks for showing up and for tuning in. Either way, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. So let's talk about how to become more emotionally strong. But first, let's start by defining what emotional strength even means. Contrary to what some people might believe, real emotional strength has nothing to do with being able to stifle, repress, or otherwise shut down your true emotions while maintaining a stoic outward appearance. Being rigid and controlling and all wound up, nice and tight, have little to do with actual emotional strength. In fact, they are evidence of quite the opposite. The term emotional strength refers primarily to a way of responding to changes in our emotional state with authenticity and acceptance. Emotional strength is the ability to respond in an open and vulnerable way in the face of intense emotional experience. Meaning being able to feel one's way deeper into the actual emotion and hold space for ourselves while we feel the full brunt of whatever it is we're going through or processing in the moment. Emotional strength is defined as an individual's ability to feel and be open to intense emotional experiences, and it is very much about how a person deals with obstacles and recovers from them rather than how they react to any given situation. What emotional strength is not is toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is the excessive and ineffective overgeneralization of a happy, optimistic state that results in denial, minimization, and invalidation of your authentic human experience. An example of toxic positivity is someone telling you to stop being so negative when you are simply trying to express the truth of what you are feeling and experiencing. There's nothing healthy about toxic positivity. So again, emotional strength is not about turning a negative experience into a so-called positive. Rather, true emotional strength is where you can feel all of your emotional experiences at a deeper level and allow yourself to be vulnerable and responsive to your truest feelings in a healthy, functional, and balanced way, no matter what you are feeling. It's about being able to feel and therefore hold deeper and more intense emotions without avoidance, repression, self-medicating, or bypassing. And in the realm of codependency recovery, this is vital. As the old saying goes, you have to feel it to heal it. And let me be clear, nor is developing emotional strength about becoming more tolerant of abuse, any kind of abuse. Emotional, psychological, or otherwise, including passive aggression, gaslighting, and manipulation. Tolerating these behaviors is not a sign of emotional strength. Genuine emotional strength is about having the strength and the courage and the humility to look within, really look within, and take an honest inventory of what's going on inside of you, what you've lived, who you are and why you hurt. And then mustering the courage necessary to do the real work to heal so you can become a much happier, healthier, more peaceful, productive, whole version of yourself. Bypassing, repressing, suppressing, avoiding, self-medicating, none of these things build real emotional strength. All they do is kick the proverbial can down the road while that can gets bigger and heavier with each passing year. So, how do you know if you're emotionally strong? Well, as I've already alluded to, emotionally strong people have the ability to feel their feelings, all of them, without feeling the need to avoid, suppress, medicate, or sedate themselves on a regular basis, whether that be with food, television, work, or any other addictive compulsive process and/or mind-altering substance. Emotionally strong people prefer to live fully in the present to their reality. completely in touch with what's going on inside of them as well as around them. No denial, bypassing, or magical thinking. No running and no hiding. They tell themselves, and where appropriate others, the truth, no matter how difficult, painful, awkward, uncomfortable, or unpopular. And because they live their lives this way, they have a high level of self-awareness. They know exactly who they are, what their strengths are, as well as their shortcomings, and what they need to work on. And because they're quite self-aware, they don't project their disowned shadow stuff onto others. They have empathy and compassion and the ability to recognize the effect their attitude and behaviors are having on the people in their lives. They're strong enough to be able to risk being vulnerable, open, and honest. And when they mess up, they have enough humility to own up to it, apologize for their part, and work to make it right by walking out a living amends. In other words, actual changed behavior. They love, approve of, and validate themselves rather than seeking love, approval, and validation from external sources. They live with intention. They're clear. They know exactly what they want and have peace knowing they'll get there because they are working diligently toward their goals while simultaneously being grateful for and enjoying what they already have. They have a growth mindset, and because of that, they aren't afraid to make mistakes. Personal growth and development are important to them, and they're willing to invest time and energy to learn, grow, and evolve at the deepest levels. And because they are emotionally strong, they can afford to accept themselves fully, exactly as they are in the present, while they work toward becoming better day by day. Emotionally strong people are solutions oriented. They acknowledge problems, issues, and challenges as they come up, and then they focus primarily on the solution. And they're flexible, adaptable, and able to embrace change. They practice self-care so they can show up as their best selves in every aspect of their lives, and they prefer peace over chaos or drama, but not at all costs. Having a preference for peace does not mean that they are conflict avoidant. Again, because they are emotionally strong, they can risk being vulnerable and speak up when needed, when the occasion calls for it. They don't sweep things under the rug or go along to get along, pretending there isn't something that needs to be addressed. Having emotional strength means being able to step up and speak up when necessary. It also means knowing when to walk away and stay away. Emotionally strong people know when it's time to stay in the ring with someone and when it's time to surrender to the reality of the situation and love someone from a distance. Again, they tell themselves the truth. And because they're emotionally strong, they can afford to live their lives aligned with their personal integrity. So, with all of that said, how does one go about becoming more emotionally strong? Well, in my view, it begins with a willingness to actively develop our emotional intelligence. Just like our physical strength, emotional strength doesn't just develop on its own or by accident. Think of all of the emotionally fragile and seriously dysfunctional people you know who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. People who you know are anything but emotionally strong. Clearly, age and time have nothing to do with it. It's what we do over time that matters. And because the vast majority of us were not raised by emotionally intelligent people, we weren't taught the vital life skills required to take good care of ourselves in these ways. And therefore, we don't know how to develop real emotional strength. We quite literally have to figure this stuff out on our own, and usually through years, if not decades, of painful trial and error. So, start with intent to grow your emotional intelligence, and you'll become more emotionally strong in the process. And how I've done this as a lifelong learner has been through my devotion to my codependency recovery specifically. Read books, take courses, participate in programs specific to codependency, adult-child syndrome, and family dysfunction. Devote some time and energy to learning about yourself and the ways in which you've been affected by your childhood experiences. Not to blame or shame anyone, but rather to take radical responsibility for yourself and the quality of your life today by learning how you have been affected by your past, and more importantly, what you can do about it. I promise you, it will be time and energy very well spent. Next, heal. That's right. One way or another, start with doing your healing and recovery work. And there are so many ways available today to do that. There really is no excuse not to. If you know you have healing and recovery work to do, you carry things within you that still hurt, no matter how deep they may be buried. If you know that stuff remains unresolved and you have not yet addressed those issues, know that continuing to put it off isn't helping you. And it certainly isn't making you strong in any real way, not least of which emotionally. You cannot develop true emotional strength if you're still carrying around mountains of unresolved wounding and trauma. So that work has to be done if you want anything to change. Healing, by the way, also involves calming your nervous system down and taking good care of yourself in that regard so you can operate from a fully grounded, more clear, connected, and conscious place. And none of this is possible if you're still allowing yourself to be mistreated or abused by others. Real, lasting healing requires that you be safe and comfortable enough to be able to do your work. Process and release whatever it is you need to process and release without being re-traumatized on a regular basis. And if you need help with that, you're likely an excellent candidate for one of my coaching programs. There's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. And there's also a new free gift section in the description below this video as well, so be sure to avail yourself of that. Next, in order to develop emotional strength, you want to move your body daily, as well as nourish and nurture it well. Things like dense nutrition and adequate rest, deep sleep, these things really matter when it comes to becoming more emotionally strong. Emotionally strong people know that they can't be emotionally strong without taking good care of themselves physically. Why? Because our brains and our bodies are connected. In fact, research has shown that a minimum of 30 minutes of movement or vigorous exercise is as effective as antidepressant medication when it comes to treating mild to moderate depression. True story. The bottom line is, it's going to be really, really hard to feel really good and emotionally strong if you aren't taking good care of yourself from a physical health perspective. It's hard to have solid mental health and emotional strength without this vital piece, without moving your body daily. Next on the list of how to become more emotionally strong, practice radical gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful manifesting force. It's also, by the way, the fastest way to change your state, focusing on what you are grateful for as opposed to what's lacking. And if you're willing to look, I promise you there's always something to be grateful for. Rhonda Byrne published an amazing book called The Magic, 28 Days of Gratitude. I highly recommend it. Next on the list is spiritual connection. What gives you deeper meaning, deeper purpose? Connecting to a higher power, whatever that is for you. Emotionally strong people know that they have to be nurturing and taking care of their soul, taking care of themselves spiritually. It's a vital piece to emotional strength. Having faith in something good, something greater and more powerful than what we are, knowing that God, the universe, has our back. Emotionally strong people do what they need to do to nurture that connection daily. They do what they need to do to take care of that inner self, and as a result, they find deep reservoirs of not only faith, but strength and courage to persevere. So paying attention to this part of our lives is an absolute game changer. You are not alone. You could not be alone if you tried. Next are our social connections. The truth is, as we have become more and more connected online, we've become less and less connected in real life. And we need social connection. Genuine, honest, authentic connection is as essential to our human survival as air and water. Emotionally strong people have close, connected, supportive, encouraging, and mutually beneficial, as well as respectful relationships with relatively healthy, sane, loving others. Other people who are safe and good for them. People who genuinely care. And that, if that's lacking for you, then it is fully your job and responsibility to go out in real life and find those connections. You deserve to be valued, loved, and respected. And if you haven't found your tribe yet, keep looking. I promise you, they're out there. And last but certainly not least, take a break. That's right. Even if you feel you can't, you need to. Rest and repair are vitally important. Sleep, breathe, spend time in nature, read a good book, slows your heart rate right down. Carve time into your busy schedule for rest and repair. Doing so will enable you to recharge so you can come back feeling more clear, empowered, and vital, as opposed to fried and burnt out all the time. It's hard to be emotionally strong if you don't give yourself adequate time and space to breathe and just be. And on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, you should know that the Ascension class is open for enrollment. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself, you're ready to shift your identity, master the law of attraction, heal your relationship with money, and put a full stop end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from living your best life. If you're ready to reinvent yourself from the inside out, create your dream life by design, and finally become the you were always meant to be, click the link in the description below this video to apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team.